Hello, and wherever you are, and whenever you are, happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
It's been a very long time. We've gone longer than we intended because of life, work, and illness, in my case. But it's so good to be back. And hello, welcome to the office, welcome to the Twitch chat, welcome to the YouTube comments, welcome to whatever podcast medium that you're listening to this through. It's such a joy to have you back, and it's such a joy to be back as well. Before we get going, as ever, we have a couple of thanks. As ever, to our assistant dungeon managers on Patreon, moving from 2 in number to 3, Graham Muir, Rory Sullivan, and Hannah Congrave. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you would like to support us further, you can do so on our Patreon. Every little helps out. And there's lots of lovely stuff on there every other week, lots of stats, lots of homebrew items, some spells potentially coming up, we will see. But we are also affiliated with Zavi, and you can check out the link to all of their incredible stuff, D&D merchandise in the Twitch chat or in the description of the video below. But you can use the code Dungeon10 for 10% off site-wide, or Dungeon20 for 20% off all D&D related clothing. There's some really great stuff there. I say this all the time. The Beholder t-shirt I have is one of the nicest things that I own. So do check them out. And if you would like to follow us on social media, you can do so. You can follow us here on Twitch. You can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You can catch up on old episodes on YouTube as well, where we have all of our old content, including smaller campaigns and one-shots as well. We have a couple of things on the horizon, which we're very excited to share. But also, we're also available on podcasts. We're available on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean. And I think that just about covers it. It's been a really long time, so I've probably forgotten something. But join us as we step out of the office, away from work, and into the world once more of Dungeon Manager. We've lost Iani. Previously on Dungeon Manager. Setting off from Slumptown, your journey to Neverwinter took you several more days as you travelled along the Sword Coast, through biting winds and occasionally blistering snow. And along the way, you found time to discuss recent revelations in the group, with Zini especially intrigued to know where exactly Oriana had been banished to in your fight against Ikreth. And while Oriana, you didn't know exactly, between the two of you, you realized that this proved one thing. The place in your dreams was real, and it could be found. Continuing along the road, eventually you came to the towering city of Neverwinter. And as you arrived, you passed giant testing fields for machines of war, tanks of metal, wood, and steam capable of belching fire across long distances, until eventually entering the city itself. A technological and artisanal marvel. And Scarlet, returning to this city you are oh so familiar with, you felt almost immediately at home. And you led the group across the city's 3 famed bridges, across the Neverwinter River, and to a small tavern in the River District, known as the Fallen Tower. Now, after such a long journey, and with Dalifar headed off to purchase some items for the group and their mounts, the rest of you decided that it was high time for some much-needed relaxation. And so the others in tow, and signalling to Dalifar to join later, Scarlet, you led everyone to a bathhouse in the district, a fancy place called Clear Water Baths, and diving into the warm waters brought in by the Neverwinter River, for the first time in a very long time, you felt at peace. And meanwhile, Dalifar, you set off in search of an artificer, eventually coming to the shop of one Phileas Fleckelmeister, agreeing to swing by the fallen tower after closing up shop to fix up some saddles and armor for the Mythbeast mounts you had in your possession. He also agreed to upgrade your item, weapons, armor, for a price. You see, in the Winter's Fall district, where Neverwinter was struck hardest by the spell plague, thousands of years ago, there exists a great scar on the city, a chasm. And while its magical properties were closed up years ago, he and the other artificers believe that there exist residual effects within the rocks surrounding it. If you can procure some, and potentially bring back his apprentice, Gear, who went missing in the district some time back, he will build something for the group. An agreement reached, Dalifar, you headed back out into the streets. But from above, unbeknownst to you, you were being watched. Watched by 5 masked and hooded individuals who have followed you all the way from Waterdeep. And they want revenge. But as you walk through the streets, Dalifar, where are you going and what would you like to do?
I think I would like to go look for a potion shop, a bank, and also what's the other thing? I think just those two to begin with.
Okay, so for expediency's sake, what is it you're wanting to buy from a potion shop? Anything in particular?
I want to see what is available in terms of healing and also the potion of, I think, was it potion of speed? So you're eventually able to come to, I'll just get the prices out now. You're able to eventually find a fairly small-looking building tucked away in the River District. But as all of the shops and businesses are certainly looking towards closing, you can see that a candle flickers in this particular one. And going inside, you find a fairly quaint, but nevertheless incredibly well-stocked shop. It's fairly sparse in terms of furniture, but on either side of you, there are shelves that stretch up 2 stories with giant ladders that reach up to their top on wheels that scoot across either side of the room with seemingly innumerable colourful bottles stacked from floor to ceiling. And you're able to find a number of different healing potions. There are some lesser ones, but here you also find more concentrated ones. They are more expensive, however, but in a pinch, they will likely bring you back from all but the worst of injuries. And there are also other potions. You see potions of speed. You see a couple of potions that seem to imbue strength and invisibility. There is one that you see that seems to promise the ability to give you some kind of gaseous form. You're not entirely sure how this might work, but there is a lot on offer. If you can imagine it, chances are it's probably available. Okay, I want to see how much a potion of healing costs. It depends which one they have.
Okay, so just a bog standard potion of healing will set you back 50 gold. And hang on. It's probably easier if I just bring up an electronic copy. Because then I can tell you all of the things they do as well. So yes, Potion of Healing will set you back 50, and that's just a simple 2d4 plus 4, plus 2 rather, whenever you take it. There's a Potion of Greater Healing, and that will set you back 150, but that gives you 4d4 plus 4. And finally, there is, you see, Supreme Healing. This is the most expensive of the bunch, as you can imagine, and this one is 1,350 gold.
but mechanically, it'll give you 10d4 plus 20 hit points whenever you imbibe it.
Wow. Okay, and potions of speed?
Potions of speed, that would set you back 400 gold.
Okay. So I'm going to get 1 potion of speed and just 1 potion of healing.
Okay. Just bog standard 50
Just
gold.
Yes. What potion of speed? What were the stats on that, please?
So that was 400. The stats on that, sorry.
Yes, please.
So basically you gain the abilities of the spell Haste. So you double your movement, you double the amount of actions you can take in a turn, I believe it is. And your armor class increases as well.
Wait, you double your actions?
I believe
Are you sure you don't just get an extra action?
You get an extra action as long as it is dash, attack, dodge, I think.
Yeah.
So you could use it with your crazy
Action surge.
Yeah.
So
But you
I
wouldn't
get.
double it. You would just get another action.
Yeah, essentially
I'll get
you
another
would...
action. I'll be able to attack 3 times. Well, that
Well,
was
it's-
6.
It would be 6 times, for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 potion of speed and 1 potion of bog standard.
Tell me when you're using that, because I'll go make a cup of tea.
Okay, so yeah, +2 to AC, advantage on dex saving throws, and you gain an additional action on each of your turns. So it can only be used to take 1 weapon attack only, and like Michael said, dash, disengage, hide, or use an object.
1 weapon attack, but because I attack 2 per turn, I'll still be able to do my 2 attacks for that turn.
So you could use all of your attacks plus an additional 1 with haste.
Okay, so it wouldn't be 6, it would be 5 then.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, let's do that. So potion of speed, and you say it adds +2 AC to my. Okay.
Yes. You are. Afterwards, you are very, very tired after you use it, and it lasts for a minute as well.
Lasts for 1 minute. Okay, so 1 potion of speed, please, and 1 box stand potion of healing.
Okay, so that will set you back 450 gold, and you wanted to go to the bank as well?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you want to do there?
I would like. So the network of banks we already have that we're banking with. I presume there's a branch here, or can I look for a branch?
Yeah, make an investigation check for me.
Yeah. That is not okay. 7.
7. Looking around, you are unable to find anything in the River District, but you do remember as you were walking through Neverwinter on your way in, particularly through the Protector's Enclave, which was the first district you entered through, and Black Lake District, though you imagine this is probably slightly more out of your price range. The Protector's Enclave looks as though it is a hub of business and of merchants and just trade generally. So you imagine if there's anywhere that you're going to find banking, probably likely to be there. The River District, for all of its business, seems to be fairly residential in comparison to the much taller sections of the city to the west.
Okay. What time is it now?
It's quite late, so businesses are soon to be closing up. It's around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd say. Okay,
so I'll start to head back to the inn and wait for everybody there. But yeah, I'll just purchase the speed and potion for now.
Okay. As you're walking along the street, you eventually come back to the fallen tower, and you see that people are slowly beginning to peter out on the streets as it gets quieter. You see a couple of sort of establishments that are still open and have tables and chairs outside as individuals sit and drink. And you can see that the fallen tower, people appear to be flocking towards this as well as they finish their day's work. But you'll be in good and very merry company as you wait for the others. Speaking of which, over at the bathhouse, the water's still warm and still continuing. What are you all doing?
What time is it?
4 o'clock. The waters are still warm. They haven't dipped below the initial temperature that you first entered them in. And as you have all stayed there, it has had a remarkably calming and healing effect on all of your joints and muscles. And you all sit in contented silence, occasionally punctuated by the odd splash from Rudigan as he jumps in and paddles across, and occasionally flicking water across at Juliet, who stands on the edge with a and over, sitting on some of the towels to one side. But it's calming, and you hear the ripples of the water coming through. It's very pleasant.
I have a question. How does it work? How do they heat the water? Do they have someone back and forth with just like a bucket constantly? Or is it heated? Is it kept warm?
So the remarkable thing about Neverwinter is the heat of the river that moves through the center of it. And this bathhouse is directly next to said river. And looking around, especially having sat there for a very, very long time, you imagine that there's probably some kind of filtration system to make sure that, you know, you're not just sitting in dirty water. But the warmth of the water seems to entirely be from the river itself.
Well, I think I would probably be getting pruny by now, so I'm going to get out.
You climb out and look at your crenellated, muddy fingers as you just step out. And as you do so, you notice, as you walk towards the towels, that you are leaving
I've
slightly...
still got the disguise self on, so it's not muddy.
You do, but the footsteps you leave behind, on the other hand, are still muddy. They are trailing behind you as you walk over to the towels.
Are the towels white?
As white as the marble of the room around you.
I'm going to air dry.
I mean, one of us literally has a cleaning spell, so you probably use a towel.
That's true. Okay, I'll use the towel.
I mean, at the moment, she's just literally got her eyes closed, enjoying becoming a prune. I'm sure if you ask her nicely, she would be happy to clean.
So, Zini and Oriana and Scarlet, entirely oblivious to the world around you, the two of you watch as Terra climbs out of the bath and starts to dry herself down.
Yeah, that's a bit creepy.
It's a bit creepy. I don't think I would watch.
Well, not
like
you see her. It is a round room, so it's hard not to have a full view.
I deliberately avert my eyes and look at my legs in the water. That's what I do.
Fair enough.
Be respectful.
I mean, she's wearing underclothes. I think we agree.
Yeah, but still, like, it's... I know Zini's female, but still, it's a gaze of some kind. So, you know...
Are you going to stay here, Scarlet?
I think it takes, there's a delay before she replies. Like when you're on a Zoom call and it comes through a few moments later, she's like, she sort of half opened her eyes and goes, I mean, what does everybody else think? Would you like to stay and relax, or go back and see how Dalafar's explorations got on?
Well, it's getting late into the afternoon, so I was going to head into town and do some bits and pieces. But you can stay here if you want. Don't make me force you to leave.
I see what everybody else's reactions are.
Not gonna lie, I'm very comfortable right now. This is the warmest I've been in a very long time. Don't want to leave, but I also have some stuff that I need to get.
I didn't think I could be both comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time.
You're emotionally or?
Emotionally uncomfortable, physically. Quite comfortable. I don't have anywhere that I need to be, so I don't care. Either way.
Is there a clock in there?
There isn't. No, it is remarkably free of clocks.
Yeah.
Clocks.
Why did you say it that way?
Clocks.
We established it last episode.
Come on.
We did.
It's been a month. Like,
There was like to tennis. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I remember the tennis, but
Yeah.
not like, yeah.
My mother clocks.
the Neverwinter lore is very deep.
That Jess continues to add.
Whatever bullshit comes out of my mouth becomes canon.
But no, in short, there's no means of telling time. And having spent a great deal of time in many of the bathhouses within Neverwinter, Scarlet, you know that this is entirely deliberate. These are places where people come to while away entire afternoons. And you also suspect that this is also a very deliberate move on the part of the owners, because it is very easy to charge very extortionate prices when people go over the allocated time limit.
Good business. Those monsters. Okay. I think Scarlet will ponder for a moment and go, well, I suppose there will be time for more bathhouses later, and these will certainly have to bring Dalafar to one of these days.
You might need to earn some more money before you do that. It's quite expensive here.
I have some money in the bank. I'm sure we can indulge a few more times.
This is it now. We're retired and like,
Yeah.
spend all our money on that.
I mean, we are pretty rich by D&D standards, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. Hold on. Do I have a note of?
I don't
buy a
have.
bathhouse.
We have quite a lot of money between us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
Yeah,
do a
but
few more times. I can
we're-
afford that.
We're not rich by D&D standards, trust me.
Yeah, we are really
Why not?
No.
Oh, well, we're rich by all of my other D&D standards.
Yeah, that like amazing healing potion cost over $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yeah, Scarlet hasn't actually bought that much in our adventure, probably because she doesn't need weapons or armour.
She's not been anywhere worthy enough of her.
Yeah, she really hasn't. She's just been like, man, these places suck. I can't even go shopping anywhere fun.
I don't need to buy stuff. I just pick up everything and put it in my bag.
Yeah. I just steal things.
So, what are you all doing?
I'm kind of lingering by the door, like with all my stuff ready to go, waiting to see if anyone's coming.
Okay, I'll get up out of the water and say to Scarlet, would you mind prestidigitating so I could...
Certainly.
Thank you.
I will grab my spoon and dry Zini, and I will
Thank you.
spy the muddy footprints.
And the towel that I've just stuck on
Yeah.
the bench.
And clean the towel as well. In the wry look at Terra.
You watch as moisture and dirt alike lift into the air before just disappearing into nothing. It's as if you never touched them at all.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, it's as if it was by magic. Yeah, yes
Can
it
we
is.
like preempt every spell that Scarlet ever does with like, as if by magic?
Oh, that would be great. Yes, so I will also, I'll probably also dry, I'll dry myself with a towel because they're very soft. And probably like, I don't know, what's Egypt? Is there an Egypt in Favorite?
The closest would probably be the continent of Zakara.
Okay, so
but
it's like
yeah,
Zakara cotton.
yeah, Zakara and
cotton
cotton.
blend. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I dry myself with the Zakara cotton blend and then use prestidigitation to get the, the hair's always an awkward one, isn't it?
And so, Oriana, you are on your own in the bath as the others get out. Are you joining them, or are you staying to indulge for a little longer?
I'll also get out.
Okay. So, all of you out of the bath, as the water's behind you still steaming, and you see condensation on the marble dome all around you. Where are you going? Where are you headed?
Well, just quickly, I think Rodigan is the last one to get out of the bath rather than Oriana.
Yes.
And does that classic thing of walking straight up to me and then shaking himself off, despite the fact that I am already dry. You are lucky you're cute.
And then there's just a as he turns into this tiny little sort of literal walking fluff ball and sort of moves ahead of you, copying Juliet's very refined way of walking.
Oh, I don't like that. It's got airs and graces now.
And as you step outside, you see the robed form of Clarence Clearwater turn around and, lovely. Have you had a suitably relaxing time in our waters?
Yes, I think my friends are all converted now.
Oh, excellent. We can expect more business in that case. Yeah.
God damn it.
Well, I do hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening. Are you going to some restaurant or potentially one of the finer taverns in the Black Lake district?
Perhaps. I think my friends would like to get a little shopping done beforehand, and then we shall see how things are.
Excellent.
It's been a while since I've been in Neverwinter. Has anywhere recently, culinary speaking, been on the up and up?
Oh, well, I have to say, there has been a little bit of a transformation in that regard, especially around the docks. The Beached Leviathan has seen a massive upturn, popular as it is with tourists, but they do have some quality meals there now. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for its sister tavern, a little further down. I don't know if you have been down near the docks at all?
Yes, once or twice,
Well, certainly the Protector's Enclave portion of the docks is... I wouldn't recommend it to any customers of ours, but that... bordering the edge of the Black Lake district, many, many fine establishments. In terms of, the general mood of the place has changed. The Driftwood Tavern, unfortunately, lost a chef a little while ago, and I think has suffered as a result. Still, they're attractive to tourists, as filled as it is with history, but no, in terms of meals, I should avoid it if I were you.
Yes, no, I'm not entirely surprised, but thank you for letting me know. We'll definitely keep that in mind.
Wonderful. Well, do come back if you require any more recommendations for places to go, or if you simply wish to spend an hour or two or three. We do packages if you want to spend more time here, and I'm sure we can sort you out a deal.
Oh, wonderful. Do you have any scrolls with information on?
Yes, absolutely. Here we are. And he reaches across and, Roger! And you see Roger timidly, okay. And Clarence takes a piece of parchment and hands it over, and there you are. It has all of our opening times and all of our prices and all of our packages on there.
Oh, many thanks.
Many thanks to you, good lady, and to the rest of your friends as well.
Is this scroll, has it got any sort of graphic design layout, in place, or is it just, lines of text?
Consummate poster designer. You can see that at the top there is a slight indentation from what looks like a stamp, usually used on wax seals, but here just on the paper itself. So it's a fairly sleek design, but with that one indentation at the top.
It's all in papyrus. Oh dear, wonderful. I suppose we all make our leave unless Zini wants to tackle Roger and kidnap him.
Don't know what you mean. Don't know what you're talking about. I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we leave and go into the outdoors of Neverwinter.
Into the outdoors.
Yes.
So you head outside. Is there anything in particular you're doing as the sun is very, very low in the sky and you can see that the skies overhead are darkening? What would you like to do? As candlelight, and you see a couple of lanterns being lit throughout the streets at this point with bunting hanging between them.
I need to find a rookery.
Okay.
I need to find a blacksmith or something for one very specific thing, because I don't think I got it off Dalifar, because I don't think he had the equipment at the time.
Okay.
And also anywhere, I think you mentioned a bookshop.
Yes, yeah.
And that's relatively close to the inn, isn't it?
It is very close,
okay.
Yes.
I need to find a specific rookery that Scarlett told me about.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever that is, I need to go there.
Okay, lovely. And Scarlett and Oriana, is there anything that you're wanting to do, or are you just happy to accompany the other two?
I will accompany Zini.
Okay, sure thing.
I think I'll help them both with directions if they need it. Instead of just letting them out in the world.
We need supervision, it's true.
Yeah.
So Scarlett is able to point you both in your respective directions. Zini, you're able to find a somewhat begrudging-looking blacksmith. You can tell that he seems to be almost ready to close up shop, and he turns and immediately preempts you with a, "What do you want?"
I just need a tiny, straight piece of iron. That's it. I don't need you to work on it unless you've not got anything suitable. I just need it, and I will obviously pay you for it.
Take your pick, and he just reaches down and picks up a bucket of what look to be just scraps and chippings, and you'll find some iron there. That's copper, that's bread, but yeah, that's iron. It's free. I'm only going to throw it out anyway.
Oh, thank you. Is it entirely straight edge? It needs to be.
It is,
very
yeah.
straight.
It's. You get the sense that this is probably from some kind of very thin mechanism that he's been implementing, and it's just leftover pieces. But it is very thin and very straight.
Wonderful. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm sorry to have bothered you just as you're shutting up.
That's fine. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. And looking around, you are able to eventually find a bookshop. It is called The Folded Page, and outside you see a sign flapping in the wind that just looks like a book. And as you look, you see that it is a very, very heavy and very weather-beaten tome that just hangs on chains above the door.
So it's an actual book rather than a sign.
It's an actual book, yes, yeah.
That seems foolhardy, but never mind.
Yep, you get the impression it has seen a lot of rain and a lot of snow.
Yeah. Wow, okay. Are they still open, or are they looking like they're going to close soon too?
It looks like they will probably be closing soon, as with most of the other businesses, but they are open for the time being.
Okay. I will open the door and say, I'm really sorry. How long do I have until you're shut? If it's no time at all, I will come back another day.
You see a small halfling with large spectacles on his bulbous nose, and he turns around and, no, we're open for another half hour or so.
Oh,
so.
Great. Do you have any books on dragons?
Dragon. It depends what sort of thing you're after. We have history books. We have myths surrounding. We've got one on the creation cycle, which is very interesting, entirely based on poppycock. But we have more physiological books. What sort of thing are you in the market for?
Physiological and behavioral.
All right. Yeah, I can probably get you. We've got one on
mountain beasts, which I know covers white dragons and things that reside higher up in the atmosphere. Would that be of any use to you?
Well, just like there are different types of dragons, though, right?
Sure. Well, tell you what, I'll get you a selection. Won't take me long.
Thanks.
Just sit down on.
It doesn't matter if it's more than one book. More information's great.
Okay, I will. I'll be right back. And the halfling shuffles off, and you sit down on one of the nearby leather sofas that are just freely available. And at one point, he comes back with a small cup of tea that he just places on the table in front of you, and he heads off until eventually coming back with around 5 books. One is on the history of dragons, specifically dealing with the differences that you can often find between the different chromatic and metallic dragons. Having a quick skim through, you see that some are far more detailed than others. There's quite a bit on red dragons and on green and white, less so on the more metallic dragons. These appear generally to be rarer in terms of knowledge. There's also another one which, taking a quick glance through, you get the impression Scarlet would really like. It's full of diagrams of different dragon body parts, and there are cross-sections of sinews and muscles and bones. You imagine there's probably some cooking application in this. But also there is another one which you see, which, looking through it, is less rooted in strict fact, but reading through it, there's a lot to do with the myths and the origins of dragons. And like the halfling who reveals his name to be Saul spoke of earlier, you get the impression that a lot of these are based on creation myths that various cultures have had throughout the millennia. It's interesting, but potentially not what you're after. But these generally are what these books cover.
Okay. So is that all 5 of them, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between them, but those are sort of the ones most pertinent to what you'd be after.
Okay. So I say to Saul, how much would all of them be together?
All of them together. Well, I can definitely do you a bundle, but that should be 3 silver. So I probably 1 gold, 5 silver.
So 1.5 gold. Yeah, I'll take them all.
All right, lovely. Anything else I can help you with before we close up for the night?
No, I think that'll do, thank you. But that was really helpful, and thank you for the tea.
No worries, not at all. If you do require anything that is slightly more in-depth, we are just a humble bookshop, but the House of Knowledge over in the Protector's Enclave is full of knowledge. It's a temple to Ogma, and as a result, as you can imagine, they are, I'd say, rivaled only by Candlekeep to the south. They are quite impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. Lovely doing business with you.
You too.
And with that, the door closes behind you with a soft ding as the bell above the frame closes. So, Tara, you're wanting to go to a rookery.
The one that Scarlett told me about.
Lovely. So it is almost a stone's throw away from the fallen tower. And as you're walking along and sort of moving together in a group, you see that there is still a fair amount of crowds around you, even as they're petering off towards the end of the day. But in amongst them, Scarlett, you notice something that you've not seen in a very long time. Stood next to a notice board and next to a large stack of broadsheets, an individual holding aloft a copy of Neverwinter Nights, which is the local city broadsheet. And he's shouting out, going, "No new information about the recent Sky Heist, but find out all about it within. Also, theatre review for Calculor's latest show. Read all about it." And you can see that a couple of people are coming in and purchasing the odd broadsheet, and he's clearly trying to shift them. And he's looking around and going, "Copy for you, madam. No, never. Copy," until eventually you pass Skelton. "Copy of the Neverwinter Nights, love."
Oh, certainly.
Lovely. That'll be 5 copper for that. Can't be up to date top of the line news, can we, love?
Oh, certainly not. It's always good to keep yourself abreast of local knowledge.
Absolutely, woman after my own heart. You enjoy, love, you enjoy. Do the rest of you want a copy as well? I'm looking to shift as many of these as possible.
No.
No. All right. Well, have a lovely day then. But all right. And you continue on until eventually you come to a small, fairly squat tower with a number of different holes all around its surface. And you can see that at the top there is a weather vane in the shape of a raven that seems to sway gently in the cool breeze, despite the warmth that exists this close to the river. But every so often from the holes in the building's side, you see black ravens fly out with either parcels, very small parcels, attached to their legs, or coming back empty taloned as you approach.
So I'll go on in.
Mm-hmm.
I also just had a thought. I think it's because I was watching ants the other day. Why don't we use ants to send parcels? Because they could carry really big parcels.
They tend to only go to and from their anthills, though. It's quite difficult to direct them other than by pheromones.
I guess it would be
quite slow because I've got very tiny legs.
What if you had a permanent, line of ants? So actually, you just pass it down the line rather than individually walking.
Be incredibly easy to disrupt.
Basically, you just need giant fantasy ants.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
Can we have this in our next city, please, Ed?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Comet Stat will be all ants, just a giant floating ant fortress.
I mean, you get flying ants.
Yeah,
you do.
So as you enter, you see that everywhere is strewn with hay, and there is a very distinct smell of bird shit everywhere, and it is stained all over the walls. And you see a fairly bedraggled-looking individual in the center. He is covered in dried droppings all over him, and his wild grey hair sticks out, and his back is to you, but as you enter, he turns around with wild eyes, and he's like, hi, how can I help?
Hello, I'm expecting a letter.
A letter. What's your name?
Well, it should just have a horseshoe symbol on it.
Ugh, no names. Okay, well, why would you make it easy for me? Okay, right. And he just sort of walks over to the direction of a large shelf of various letters and parcels that are all on the opposite side, and he looks through. Horseshoe. No, nothing yet. Are you expecting anything?
Yeah. Do I need to come and pick it up, or can you forward it?
Where are you?
At the Fallen Tower Inn.
Lovely. So I'll just send it to the room that's being rented out by the Horseshoe. Yep.
I'll just come and get it.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well.
Well, I guess you could send it there. Just send it there and leave it behind the bar, and I'll just check behind the bar every day.
Okay, if it gets lost, it's none of my business. You understand that?
I don't feel like you enjoy this job.
He just opens his arms, and you see the true extent of the bird droppings all over him, and he just... You think?
Doesn't pay enough, huh?
Not nearly enough.
Well, I'd like to send a letter as well.
Okay, great. Well, pen and paper over there. It'll cost you 5 silver to send.
Okay, I'll go and write a letter.
Okay. What does the letter say?
It says, to Will. And then the sense of it is, I ask him how he's doing. Mm-hmm. And then I say that the Skinners are running the tack room, which I don't think he knew. Mm-hmm. That we have a potential insider, but I won't say the name of them. I will tell him about their plans for the Briars in Neverwinter with the whiskey, tampering. Mm-hmm. I'll tell him about the factories along the docks of Baldur's Gate with the children working in them. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, I'll basically say, also, I found out that the leader of the Skinners was killed by the Blink Dogs in a fight. Did you know that? Yeah, I think that's everything.
Okay. So, you write
Oh,
this
and then
down.
I'll like write where to send a reply.
Okay. And where are you sending the letter?
I thought I had an address. Do I not have an address? How did I plan to do it? Was I going to use... I thought I had a method to get hold of him.
I think you were going to ask Zini for one of her...
Oh. Do you need, like, to have written it down to do that, or is it some kind of message? Like,
so you write it on the paper itself, and the paper then transports itself to the recipient.
okay. All right, well, I didn't do any of that then.
I mean, you could still have done, and risk the ire of this very, very pleasant chap in front of you. But yeah,
I'll just like fold up the paper and go thanks, and then like walk away.
Is that theft? Is that...
Ink and paper doesn't grow on... Well, I guess it does. All right, have a good day.
I wish you hadn't realised that, and Zini could have gone, it does actually.
If that was real life, I definitely would have still sent a letter out of
Just out of awkwardness.
Yeah, because that was like, I can't, you'd have to like make up a letter to send to somebody.
To Will at Will Road in Willtown.
So you head on out of the rookery, leaving this grumbling man to his own devices. But where are you headed? Back to the Fallen Tower?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Also, Zini is visibly struggling with her bag now that there are 5 hefty books in it. Like, I'll catch up.
They are very...
If I help you carry those books, can I write a letter in your magical letter writing book, please?
I mean, you don't have to do me the favour, but you could write one anyway. But I would appreciate the help.
Okay, and then I'll take all 5 books.
Oh, thank the gods.
So you head back in the direction of the Fallen Tower, moving through their ever quieter streets, until eventually coming to the very, very busy Fallen Tower. It was nowhere near this busy when you first entered it earlier today. But inside, every single table is full as people laugh and dance and joke with one another. You see people having arm wrestles, and you see people eating mighty rustic feasts. And over in the corner, sitting alone on a table, clearly saving it for you, you see the familiar face of Dalifar.
Wouldn't it be great if we just didn't like
Liked him.
No, I don't do that, because that would be mean. Also, we probably want some drinks. I'm like, yoo-hoo, Dalifar.
Dalifar just raises his hand and goes,
You missed out on a wonderfully relaxing bathhouse.
good was it?
Yes, I should say so. I think we all enjoyed it. Even little Juliet dipped her paws in, although wasps and cats don't exactly go together.
I look at Oriana just out of curiosity, because knowing how Oriana usually is, I just look at her to see if she's calmer than she was earlier.
I assume the same as always.
Right. Well, I've managed to find this on an artificer named Phileas. And one of the things I asked him to do was our mounts, potentially, seeing as they're going to be around for a little while, we're going to have a little some armor crafted for them. But also there's an errand he's asked of me, and that will be in our favor to the cost of said armor, and perhaps anything else you might want from him as well. He seems to know what he knows what he's doing, and is rather good at it.
What's the favour?
I have to procure him some magical residue in rocks somewhere in the city.
Right, that seems far too easy. Am I the only one who feels that way?
I mean, after our adventures, yes, it does sound very, very easy, which is why... Sorry?
Which rocks?
Yes, which district?
I think that's the task. Find where the rocks are.
Are they rocks from a witch?
No. So, I'm just looking at my notes, looking real quick. I don't think I put that down. Hang on a second. No, I didn't. I did not make any of those notes.
So, it's in the Winter's Fall.
Winter's Fall, that's that. Thank you, mystical voice in my head.
That's okay.
They're in the Winter's Fall, and it seems to be a residue from the spell plague of Neverwinter when it was hit, and it's caused the chasm. So where that is where I will find the deposits that I'm looking for.
Ed?
Yes.
I would imagine Scarlet probably never really went to Winter's Fall because it wouldn't really interest her that much. But I'm sure she would have heard. Does she think this is like, a reasonable thing to go in there? Or is she like, no, what are you doing? We're going to die horribly. I don't know what the perception of it is.
Make a history check for me.
L'histoire.
I'd say it's advantage because this is very much your city.
Cool. Well, the first one was a 9. Oh, and the second one was a 20, but not natural.
Okay, so there are a lot of conflicting reports. Obviously, Neverwinter is a city that thousands of years ago was hit by the spell plague, worse than a great deal of other settlements along the Sword Coast. The spell plague was a disruption of the weave, and as a result, the city was almost torn in two, and they are scars that the city has held to this day. The chasm being the primary one. Now, of course, out of the rubble, Neverwinter has thrived, and the technology and the art and the trade of the city is reflective of that. It is one of the finest cities along the Sword Coast precisely because of all that it endured. But the Winter's Fall district has always had a slightly unnerving reputation amongst those who live in the city. While, for the most part, the chasm was sealed up, at least magically. It still exists as a very literal gorge in the centre of the district. A lot of the buildings nearby have remained untouched, unlike much of the other renovated parts of the city. And a lot of this is down to superstition. But certainly, so long as you were in Neverwinter, you heard stories of restless spirits and of magic still not being quite still within the district. You know that there are those who gravitate towards the area, specifically because, especially amongst the lawmakers, the Winter Shield Watch, there are not many who venture inside. There are, of course, the prerequisite patrols that go through the area, but for the most part, it is a little more lawless, at least by Neverwinter terms.
Well, I have to say, Dalafar, that's one part of the city I've never been to. Gaping chasm in the earth has never particularly appealed to my sensibility. But I would say if you're going to go, I would advise we all go together. I don't think it's, the most dangerous place. Is the City Watch patrol it regularly-ish, but still, there are rumours, ghosts, haunting, strange magic, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it would be a walk in the park.
Well, not for ordinary people. Perhaps for us, we'll be more lucky.
Perhaps. I mean, I'm not going to force or ask that anyone join me, but I'll be very grateful for the help.
We've met ghosts and weird magic before. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Oh no. This is where the It's Always Sunny music plays. The gang is not fine.
Tempting fate? What's that? I don't know.
No, what? It's fine.
Okay. I mean, we can leave tomorrow, go during the day. I think it'll be our best bet because generally at nighttime tends to bring out some rather unsavory characters. So the less of those we have, the better, really.
Makes sense. I can also practice some of my spells and decide which ones are best.
Okay. Well, if you'll excuse me, I've got to meet the artificer outside for our mount's fittings. So, Dalfa steps outside.
So you're waiting for a little while, Dalifar, until eventually Phileas comes. You see his purple hand in the darkness, blinking in and out every minute before you see him. And he walks forward and very quickly measures out the beasts with a lot of oversight from you as he just sort of measures everything out and darts back occasionally. And you see that affixed to one of his wrists is just a long tape measure, which at one point he said, "Can you hold that, please?" And he just moves it all the way back and... Okay, right. Good news. This won't take me very long. 3 days at most. I would say... Looking at around 300 gold total.
Okay.
Specialist equipment. But yeah, I can have that ready for you in 3 days, so Octar 12.
Okay. I've just had a thought because the last time we spoke, I was wanting to have augmentations on my shield, but I think that's a little bit. That's not quite what I want. I think the best thing to do is to augment the armor because I can lose a shield, but whilst I'm conscious, my armor will still be on me, and I think the augmentation should happen to my armor rather than the shield.
Makes sense. I can do that for you. Yeah, sure. I'll have a look over some of my notes, see what I can potentially put together. It will all be fairly experimental, but if you don't mind being a bit of a guinea pig for me.
I don't see why not. And do you craft many bows by any chance?
Yeah, I usually have to take a lot of tips from the woodworkers further down the street, but yeah, I've been known in my time to make a few decent long shots. Why?
Well, I'm just wondering, should I get what you require from the Winter's Fall district? Perhaps you can craft me something very special in the form of a bow, but hopefully something that will be worthy of a very formidable hunter.
Yeah, I could do that. I'll draft something up and I'll have you a quote when you come by.
Okay.
No problem. So, you think over my proposition, Winter's Fall District?
Yeah. My friends and I will head down tomorrow, see what we can find. Anything you know of that I should be aware of?
I know that for all of our interest in it, artificers tend to steer clear, but my guy, Gear, he was great. I built him to assist me in various things, but when I sent him out there, I made sure to make sure he was as prepared as possible, so I gave him a lantern of my design. It detects types of magic and illuminates them in different ways, but it has very distinct light, which hopefully will make it a little easier to find in such a large district. But I mean, look, all I will say, I'm going to put all my cards on the table. I wouldn't be asking you to do it if it weren't dangerous, and I probably wasn't able to do it myself. There are unsavory folk in the Winter's Fall district. It's under the jurisdiction of those who less law-abiding folks than perhaps you and I might be.
Perhaps. I figured it would be dangerous.
Yeah, well, a lot of people can go missing in there, so be careful.
If something were to happen in there, would the city watch be able to intervene?
I mean, they've tried once or twice, but the grip of the Breyer family, they pretty much own that district. Anyone who goes in and out, I don't know, influential is all.
Okay. Well, leave it with me. We'll head out first light tomorrow and see what we can find.
All right, well, good luck, you and your friends. I hope you've got this formidable hunter with you.
That I do, and she is something else.
Good. Right, well, night-night then. I'll get to work on these designs first thing in the morning, and yeah, I'll start putting them together, and you can come swing by, pick them up anytime.
Will do. If you'll excuse me, I'll have to feed the mounts. And when I say that, I sort of take out some meat and start sort of make them wait for it, like you do with like a trained dog, in the fact that they won't go for it until I until I give them the go ahead.
Their pupils dilate as they just look at you, still and enraptured.
And then I throw a piece of meat to each of them one at a time.
And one by one, they just devour it. And you see hay flying all about. And Rudigan stood to one side, now seemingly quite used to these three animals, just looking them up and down, and looks towards you and just goes back to eating his hay.
I go over to Rudigan and I just I stroke his flank and just pat him.
Okay. So back inside the tavern, is there anything that the rest of you are doing?
Reading the newspaper. One thing we've identified is that when I was in Baldur's Gate, I bought the newspaper.
You support the free press.
I do. Scarlett's got hidden depth. She's a real lover of journalism. And news.
So
there might even be like a food review, culture section.
Yeah, I imagine Neverwinter would have a culture section in it.
Looking through, you have pored over Neverwinter Nights a number of times from when you were here in the city, and you are very aware that if there's anything that Neverwinter values, it is culture. So skimming through, you see that there are a couple of reviews of various spots in the area, some a little more tucked away, especially within the Rivers district, which Clarence perhaps overlooked, but they appear to be more rustic in nature. Over by the docks, you do see that the Driftwood Tavern has less than positive things being said about it. Generally, the feel is, while it is still a must-see for tourists, for those who know the city, it's become less of a local haunt, unlike the glowing reviews around the Beached Leviathan, which are almost overly effusive. It's clearly the place to go if you're wanting a good sea-based meal, of which there are many in Neverwinter, standing as it does on the coast. But looking through, you see that there are a number of different things. The headline says quite in big bold letters, Sky Heist. And you see that purportedly a group of 4 snuck aboard an airship called the Cloud Shaper around a week back. And while there were several high-profile guests on board the ship travelling north, including the ladies Dorath and Andrea Valintha, and retired General Mannering von Tuffman of the Gunpowder Brigade, in the interests of discretion, the ship's captain, Jupiter Knotsworthy, has declined to publicly comment on the ongoing investigation. You also see there are other stories in there. There's outrage over rising taxes amongst the guilds, and there's talk in there of Lord Neverember having drawn the ire of a number of different guilds, with many claiming that he's playing favourites in his role as Lord Protector. You also see a number of advertisements for the oncoming Feast of the Moon, with lots of adverts. Have you bought your Feast of the Moon decorations yet? And have you bought your tree? You also see that there is a theatre review that after a recent stunt injury, the Warforged actor Antoine Calculor Jr. shines in a new staging of The Duchess of Mirabar at the Snow Globe Theatre in the Black Lake District. And you also see towards the end in the ads section a number of different things. You see someone is missing their dog and has put out a call for it. It's a Labrador answering to the name of Felix. And you see also that there is a monthly meeting of Mer skeptics at the Beach Leviathan, which will be taking place at Uktar the 10th, and simply to ask for Eric and bring snacks. But this is pretty much everything of note that you find within the newspaper.
Well, screw the other plots. The dog and the Mer skeptics are now the only thing we should focus on.
I feel quite strongly that we should find a dog.
I mean, I have probably not I have locate person, but I don't think that would count for a dog because he's a creature.
If I used it, I count dogs as people, so...
I mean, no, it's locate creature, not person.
There you go.
I have locate object, so if I had I could probably locate a specific type of dog.
Or its collar.
A dog's object? Yeah.
Dogs aren't objects. No, I object.
We should just do it. You know, like when you're playing a video game and there's like a little tiny side quest that just happens to be along the way, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll just do that, and then you just like get the gold for it.
And it ends up being the best side quest you've ever done.
I bet Ed's planned for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Labrador side quest.
I mean, is that fear or satisfaction in your eyes? I can't quite tell.
We'll see.
I feel like it's the kind of quest that would have a huge moral dilemma as part of it.
Yeah. What's the reward? Is there a reward for it?
There doesn't appear to be a mention of reward
We
in
don't
there.
need a
It seems
Oriana needs a reward.
seems to just be imploring towards people's sense of moral righteousness.
Let's find the dog. I vote for finding the dog.
But the money, though.
Yeah, but the money, though. Do we get to keep the dog? That's the question.
No.
As Scarlett, you're reading over this, Dalifar, you come in and sit once more by the table, and the 5 of you are sat once more together.
Cool. I think Scarlett's facial expressions would have changed as she read the newspaper from sort of just mild interest at the Sky Heist. Was there any food involved? No. Looking very self-satisfied at the culture section and fairly amused. And then sort of reaching the classifieds and being like, if there's any room for a bit of theatre later on, that could be quite interesting. I have a Warforged actor who seems to be quite the talk of the town.
A what?
Wait, do I know I know what Warforged are, but would Scarlett know where they came from?
Make an Arcana check for me, I would say.
Was it 19 apparently?
19. So you are aware that in Neverwinter in particular, the use of Warforges, or Warforged, is quite prevalent. They are essentially sentient beings who have been crafted by the local artificers. And these sentient beings are very often... they have personalities. They have, for lack of a better word, they have souls. And they are treated as equal citizens within the city. A lot of them do fulfill sort of more roles relating to manual labor simply because of how strong a lot of these beings are. But the secrets as to how they are crafted are very, very jealously kept by a lot of the artificers within the city.
It's good to know. 'Cause I know in the Eberron lore, it's that there's like
They're
fairly
soldiers
new
from
ones.
a-
Yeah,
yeah.
that sort of thing. But no, that's good to know. Lore, cool. Well, they're people, but created by artificers. You know, they might be made of stone or wood. Some of them are powered by clockwork. You know, I mean, it's, you know, they're very nice and normal. I don't know too much about their creation, but fairly popular in Neverwinter due to, you know, the many, many artificers we have here. Also, there's a lost dog.
There's a what?
Tell me more about this dog.
I was just, you know, glancing over the classifieds. You know, you can often get a bit of information thereabouts, and this poor little dog called Felix has been lost, you know. I just thought, you know, if I lost Juliet, I'd be heartbroken. So
Zini is already standing up.
Well,
We
we've
must
already
find-
saved animals before.
We must find Felix.
Did it say where
Did
Felix
it
might
say
be?
where? Or did it just say lost dog and Felix?
So it's
It's lost in Baldur's Gate, but they were.
so it seems focused on within the River District, and it was last seen by the owner, Feifel Green, who lives relatively nearby. There's an address that's given, and Scarlet, you would know that it is, you know, a fairly local residence.
In fact, it's this very district.
So we're going now, right?
What time is it?
By this stage, it's probably around 6, 7 o'clock, probably.
I mean, should we have dinner first, or?
Yes, let's eat first before we go chasing after a dog. As much as, yes, we are going to look for the dog.
But the longer the dog is away, the more danger it's in.
Eat first. You're no good to anyone if you need to be looked after as well. So eat first, then we'll go find the dog.
I sit back down, but I'm looking daggers at Dalafar the entire time.
I mean, they might have something we could eat to go, I suppose.
Yeah, let's ask about that.
Do they have a menu, or is it very much you go up and ask, or is there like a board?
You can see that off to one side there is a large board that is written in chalk, and this seems to have changed since you first arrived. It seems there is a daytime menu and there is an evening one, and it's fairly limited. You get the sense that a lot of what they cook here is in bulk, but you see that there's a large beef and dumpling stew that's currently being advertised, and for those who are not meat eaters, there appears to be a nut roast that is also on offer.
A bit hard to eat and walk with.
You say that, but I'm a ranger. I've done it a lot, so you know, it's sometimes just had to eat and run in the forest.
You would take a roast in the forest and eat it in its entirety.
I have claws. It's
Well, on this occasion,
Rotisserie chicken.
well, we'll have something to eat in, and then we'll head out.
Why don't you want to find this dog, Dalifar?
I didn't
Do you have
say I
something
want to find
against
the dog.
dogs?
No, I do not.
Do I believe him?
Make an insight check.
I swear, if this is a natural 20, I will quit. It's a 3.
3.
So altogether, that is a 9. I think, hang on. No, it's a 10.
Okay. Dalfar, are you telling the truth? Do you want to save a dog?
I'm generally telling the truth. I want to save a dog.
All right.
But also being of the mindset of preparedness, I think Dalifar genuinely feels eat first and then help the dog. So does anyone have a preference on the beef or the nut roast?
Nut roast, please.
Eat. I don't think I've ever said that in my actual life.
So, Dalfar, as you go over and make your orders, and that will set you back around gold. I was about to say a galleon because I've been doing Harry Potter roleplay. That will set you back a gold. But Scarlet, as you sit there and the busyness of the tavern around you becomes louder and louder, and you sit there sort of drowning it out as much as you can, looking at the paper and glancing over the culture section. Your neck suddenly feels slightly heavier, and you feel the chain you wear around your neck give a little bit, almost as though it is weighing you down, and you bring yourself back up again, and for a moment it is gone. But there is a lingering unease there.
I take a surreptitious. I think I won't look down my top. I think that will cause a lot of suspicion. Just like going like, oh, what's going on down there? I think I will just put a hand in to check my necklace and ring.
You reach down and you feel the silver ring inside. The Ouroboros eating its own tail. Nothing feels odd about it, but as you just glance ever so slightly, you see that the red rubies that are indented into its eyes seem to blink. It could be a trick of the light, and as you look at it again, they are still, but it is a distinctly uncomfortable feeling.
I think Scarlet will consider that for a moment, but we'll probably put it down to just nostalgia. And because I do not believe she's ever experienced anything like the ring before, so I think she's just thinking she's back in Neverwinter, so she's just getting old thoughts, so she will brush down sort of her test and go, well, any ideas how to find this dog? I do have my locate creature spell, but I believe for it to work correctly, I need to have seen the creature beforehand.
And presumably you also have to be within a certain distance.
Yeah, I mean, I can move.
Why don't we go see Fireful Green first? And
Maybe they can draw a picture for us.
Oh yeah, they give you an accurate, and they also potentially point us to the last place they saw the dog, or any more information that's not in the papers, really.
And I'm a reasonable tracker, and if all else fails, I can turn into a dog and sniff him out.
That's true, I suppose. If you were a dog, you could smell some things the dog had and find it that way? I assume that's
Yeah.
how that works.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But, if you don't mind, Zuni, I would prefer if you were a dog rather than a wolf.
Oh no, I'd be. I understand. I would be a dog. I was a dog back in Slumptown for a bit.
Yes,
Remember?
I think you made a good dog. That doesn't sound too strange to say.
There's a moment where you see something akin to pride, like swelling in Zini, and then she sort of shakes her head and goes, "Oh, that was weird."
Yeah.
Okay, so your meals arrive and you eat incredibly heartily. The portions given by Turnip, the barkeep, are very generous, and though the quality of food, Scarlet, is fine enough, you do certainly appreciate the volume of food that you will receive. It is very, very hearty helping. But is there anything you want to do as you eat, or are you simply eating and then going to save a dog?
We are eating and going to save a dog.
Yeah, I eat obnoxiously quickly.
Okay.
And then stare at Dalafar until he's finished.
Dalafar gets like a really tiny fork. With a really tiny knife.
Like the food critic in Ratatouille.
The kind of person who insists on eating like the liquid of the stew with a fork and just like
and with the red wine, it's like, no, you have to let the tannin sit.
Okay, so your meal's finished and Turnip taking your plates away. Where are you headed?
To Fifle Green's. It gave where he was, or she was.
Give an address.
Okay, so
Isn't it? Yeah.
we'll go there.
Okay, so make an investigation check for me.
Just Dalafar, or can we help?
Yeah, either someone else can search as well, or Dalafar can roll its advantage.
I'll help Dalafar to give him an advantage.
Okay. I mean, that's 11.
So, looking around, you are unfamiliar with the River District, and so you find yourself moving up and down various streets and various alleyways. And as you do so, you find yourself in a slightly more residential area, away from the various shops that you find. And you see here and there a couple of stalls are still open. Many of them doing their last bits of business this late in the evening, but some of them are simply putting out the coverings and the tarpaulin. But eventually you come to a very small building. It's tiled and very well made, but it is only 1 story tall, and it's between 2 much larger buildings. But you see that there is a small iron knocker on the front of this very quite pleasant abode.
On the way to the house or the dwelling, because we're in the river district, is this where all the boats are moored and there's basically a river that they sail on, like there's docks?
So confusingly, no. So basically,
Okay.
it sits on the edge of the river that runs through the center of the city.
Right.
The docks are actually 1 district over on the edge of the
Okay.
Black Lake district.
Okay. So yeah, so I basically go up to the giant knocker and knock 3 times.
There is a moment's pause before eventually the door creaks open and you see a fairly stooped individual with wrinkled features and tiny glasses on the end of a nose and hair that, while very thinning, is nevertheless combed over, and this liver-spotted man opens the door and... Hello?
Good evening. Fifle Green?
Yes, that is my name.
My name is Dalafar, and these are my friends. We've come to ask you about your ad in the paper looking for your missing dog.
Oh, yes, Felix, have you found him?
No, we were hoping you'd point us in the direction you last saw, Felix.
Felix was I took him in off the street, you see, and he's only been staying with me for a couple of months now, but he's become a very dear companion of mine, and the other day he just disappeared. It is most unlike him.
Can you describe Felix for us?
Yes, of course. He is a black Labrador.
Okay. How old is he?
No more than 10. I don't know how dog years work, but probably I would wager around 10.
Okay. Does he have a place he usually likes to go aside from here?
Not particularly. He often wanders around near the docks sometimes. It's quite a walk for him, but he always comes back eventually.
Okay. And where does he usually sleep when he's with you?
Just on the sofa over there. I tried to get him to stay on the floor, but he wouldn't have any of it.
Does he have any distinguishing marks, like colour spots or a scar or?
Can't say that he does. Just the collar he came with. Just a simple red collar.
So he did have a collar when he came to you?
Yes, he did.
Did he have a name on the collar apart from maybe Felix?
No, not at all.
Okay. Would you mind if we had a look at the sofa?
Yes, of course. Please do come in.
And it's like, we've solved a murder case, and now we're here. We're going to look at your sofa and see if we can find the dog. We're like applying the same techniques.
And you are met with a very small, very humble abode. It's very, very sparse, and you can see that off in the corner there is a small stove, and beyond this, what looks to be a bed in another room. But the sofa itself is fairly simple and unmarked. But by all means, have a look. Do what you need to do.
I just turn and look at Zini.
Well, I turn and look at Scarlet and say, is that enough information for you to find the dog? I mean, it seems like it's a fairly nondescript black Labrador, really.
Yes, I don't, unfortunately, I don't think it'll be quite enough. I think the spell has quite a visual nature to it rather than a descriptive nature. I mean, I could use it to find the nearest black Labrador, but whether or not that would be the same dog would be...
Yeah. And if you cast it multiple times, you'd still probably find the same dog.
Yes, unless the creature moved 1,000 feet away.
Also, is it possible that this dog's just gone to its original home?
Quite possibly. I'm obviously much more of a cat person.
Yeah, I understand that. But using your analytical brain, Scarlet, do you think that because it had a collar before, that maybe it had other owners? It's just gone back there?
It could be the case.
Okay, guess I'm going to become a dog then. And I take the moment, and then it's almost as if just spores start to peel out of Zini's scales, and she just suddenly shrinks down, and then the spores just all fall on the floor and dissipate. And she is a black Labrador with bronze stripes going over her eyes.
Okay.
Could I sniff the sofa, please?
You can sniff the sofa. I guess make a survival, because it's a sniff thing, so
Well,
usually it would be perception.
wouldn't it?
But it would be, but I'm thinking you're specifically trying to track something. So I'm thinking if we apply the perception logic and you can roll survival at advantage, if that makes sense.
Is this what you expected, Ed? When you were like, it's been an entire month. We've had a long break.
The chasm, unquiet magic. Can we help this dog?
You wouldn't have put it in the newspaper if it wasn't a lead.
What did you roll, Michael?
I rolled a 15.
15. So, burying your snout into the sofa, you give a quick... And the rest of you watch as Zini just ferrets around is probably the wrong word. And I'm not going to say dogs around, but just sniffs at the sofa. And you pick up a scent. It's not human. It is fairly rich and salty. But it is definitely a dog.
I bark once and then charge after the scent.
Okay. You run outside. And as you do so, all of you running along, you continue running through streets. And at this point, the city itself is quiet. And you continue running. Can all of you make athletics checks for me as you try to keep up with Zini?
Favorite check.
26.
17.
12, which is quite good for me.
So,
it's very easy to keep up with me.
Okay, so Zini, as you run, you are becoming very, very, you have very gangly limbs, and as you're running around, your tongue flaps around your snout as you rush forward, and you almost trample over yourself. You're trying to keep up with the scent, and you do definitely sense it on the air as you continue running, and running. And then something distracts you. Out of the corner of your eye, something silver is rushing through the air and in the direction of Dalafar. Dalafar, can you make a dexterity saving throw for me, please, very quickly?
Of course I can. Nope. That is a 4. Sorry, 5.
So,
Well, that's fine then.
as you rush forward, and Zini, seeing this in the air and moving round to crane your neck around to it, you actually end up falling over and falling prone on the floor. And Dalafar, turning, something slices past your cheek, and you take 2 points of slashing damage as a knife sticks in the building next to you. You are seemingly alone in a quiet street, and Zini, you are on the ground, still as a dog, looking around. But there is no one in sight.
Man, someone really wants this dog.
So we see no one in sight at all.
Make a perception check for me.
My perception is 16.
Okay. You look around. First on the ground. There is no one around. Everything is quiet. Bunting floats softly in the breeze. You hear the odd sound of people in the distance. But this street, this small alleyway, you see no one. And your eyes slowly move upwards, up the lamps and up the buildings, until you see, silhouetted against the moon, 5 figures standing on a nearby roof, clothed all in black, hoods over their heads and black cloth masks over their faces.
How far away are they?
They are probably around 30 feet and then up on top of a 2-story building.
So they are 30 feet from us.
Yes, they are.
Are
I'd
they
like to cast
high-fiving?
detect thoughts, please.
Okay. Do I need to make a save for that, or is that just...
So initially, without a save, assuming they have an intelligence of above 3, and Do they have to speak my language? No. As long as they speak a language, I can learn the surface thoughts, but then I can force them to make a save. So, like, I can choose one of them and force them to make a save if I want to.
Okay. So, you do a quick pass over all of them. One of them... It was only so long you could run. And another... Breaking bones. And another... I will enjoy peeling flesh. The other two, oddly silent, strangely vacant, but the five of them stand there, unmoving. And then you watch as the one in front, tall, thin, and lithe, jumps off the roof and down onto the ground silently before standing up. And you see a patch on his arm, and it is the same as the others, a 5-pointed star.
Do people think in their own voices?
That's a very good question. Are you trying to recognize thought voices?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it, yeah. Make an insight check for me.
Yeah, it stands to reason that they would speak in their own...
I mean, you did accents.
Thinking, yeah.
So unless we all have different accents inside our heads, which I quite like the idea of. But...
It's like residual self-image. The way you see yourself in your head is literally how you see yourself externally. So it would be the same thing, I think, with how you hear and speak.
Yeah.
I got 10.
10. There is something familiar.
About all of them?
About all the voices, yes. But specifically the one who has jumped down to the ground. And as he stands up, the other four too either climb or jump down until the five of them stand opposite the five of you.
Which one was the main one?
He's tall and lithe and stands perhaps around the same height as Zini would do were she not in dog form.
Which voice was it?
The first one.
Right.
And then, as they stand there, the one in the middle just cocks their head.
First we hear rumors that you fled to Baldur's Gate, and now we find you here. How far you run to escape your sins.
I run from nothing. Who are you?
You mean you don't remember? All of you who have done so much to us. You know, when Askareth first put the bounty on your heads, we were only too eager to take it.
Askareth. I remember that name.
You've made some dangerous enemies.
Show yourself. Or hide behind a mask like a coward.
We've been looking forward to this for some time. You have something that belongs to us.
And one by one, the quintet pull down their hoods and remove their cloth masks. And as their faces are revealed, you realize that all five of you have met all five of them before. Boris, with scars covering his pale, shaven head. The stallion, his mohawk springing up from beneath the mask. Furkoff the orc, with a single rotting tooth jutting from a grey-skinned lower lip. Fats the gnome, with thick, locked brown hair and sideburns. And finally, at their head, a figure you have not seen in a very long time. A drow, with pointed ears, jet black skin, and bright white hair tied back in a ponytail. It is Darkstar, the maligned. And he holds out his hand. Give us back our fucking drinks token!
I was thinking about that earlier. I was looking at my inventory and I was like,
and that
this?
is where we are going to end this week's session. We will pick up with Darkstar and the rest of his cronies next
Finally.
week.
I called
Best
it.
reveal ever.
I was imagining them like all high-fiving, being like, yeah, the dog advert worked.
But we'll be back again next week, same time, same channel, all that jazz. As ever, you can support us by subscribing on Twitch. You can check out our Patreon. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, like, click the bell icon. You'll be notified whenever we have new videos. And continue to follow us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean. But we'll be back again next week. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Pleasure as always. And yeah, let's tune in with Darkstar next time. But in the meantime, stay safe. We love you very much, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.